Valia's like, I haven't slept in days, but this is fine.
We need to talk about TV. I haven't been on a podcast episode in weeks. I have so much about TV to talk about.
I feel like my tastes are maybe not the same. I don't know. Maybe they are.
Right? Like, I love Stargate, and I love that you love Stargate. Hey, and welcome to our bonus episode and our second ever author interview. Today, we're here with Tessonja Odette. As you, dear listeners, know her, it's Tess. So hi, Tess.
Hi.
How does it feel to be the guest of honor?
I don't know. It's weird, but
I know, right? Anyway, well, yeah, just put her on the spot from the beginning. But we're very excited to be here to celebrate her latest release. We'll talk about that later, and just to learn more about her and just let you guys know more about her. And yeah, I am here with two other queens, Hanna and Kay. Hi.
Hey.
Hi.
Yeah, and so we're just gonna hang out. We already had like a pre-talk about all the things, so we're just gonna
Yeah, lots of TV shows. Y'all missed out.
Yeah.
We're like, focus on the books.
I know, we'll talk about that. You guys know we always talk TV because it's part of our lives, and Tess loves TV, and we're here for it.
Yes.
Stories. We just love stories.
But yeah, in my notes I had, the atmosphere is great in the studio today, or studios, because we're in our individual houses, but it's great, so I'm very excited. So yeah, anyway, we're just gonna start. Hi. If you've been with us from the very beginning, you have heard Tess introduce herself, but we do want to kind of do a little refresher. So give us a few basics. So just, talk about yourself. What do you write? Who you are? what you do? I'm just kidding. Obviously, you write. Like I just said that, but yeah, take it away.
Well, I'm Tessonja Odette, but most people call me Tess. My name is spelled kind of weird, and people usually are very nervous to pronounce it. But it's Tessonja, and it rhymes with lasagna. And yes, I was teased my whole entire life when I was a child. My whole life as a child. Does that even make sense? And so I started calling myself Tess, and then this makes no sense. We're going on a tangent here, but let me tell you, I thought my life would be easier when I told people to start calling me Tess. I don't have the clearest speaking voice in general, but for some reason when I say my name, it's even worse. And then when I say it over the phone, people absolutely cannot comprehend that my name is Tess, starts with a T, T as in Tom, and usually I get Pess, as in panda, P as in panda, P-E-S-S, and I'm like,
Tess?
is that a name? Like, Tess is a common name, isn't it? Like, at least like Tessa, Tessie, like, but no, it's often Pess.
This is
you guys.
The best story
I've
ever.
So frustrating. And yeah, so I was like,
Pess?
Maybe no one can get this wrong.
Weird.
Yeah. Oh, and let me tell you, this is another tangent, but for some reason my childhood traumas are coming up right now. In high school.
Trauma episode.
In high school, I got called to the office as Tessonja Odette, and I was like, I looked at I don't remember how I got to see how it was spelled, but it was Tesheba. I'm like, who did that? Was it a prank from somebody? I was not popular enough to get pranked, and I wasn't nerdy enough to get pranked. I was absolutely invisible. So I'm not sure how this happened, but that's my entire life story about my name. Does that answer that question of who I am?
It's great. A name that is an important part of who you are. Yeah. Clearly, all these traumas.
It gave me it taught me how to be able to laugh at myself.
There you go.
It also made me very impatient when people get my name wrong. I'm just kidding. No, I'm actually pretty patient. I just cannot.
So if you ever say her name wrong at a book signing, that's it.
That's
guys.
the end.
She's
It's the end of our relationship.
in the book.
I thought she was just gonna jump over the table.
No, I mean honestly, I'm totally because I'm not great at pronouncing names either. Just because when I see letters, I'm kind of just like, what is that? But Pess with a P starts with P as in panda. Now everyone's just going to start calling me that.
What would that be short for?
I have no idea. But
I know, right?
when my husband wants to mess with me, he calls me
sense.
Tess. And so now I'm like, why did I just tell the whole podcasting listening audience that is like my pet peeve? You can get my name wrong, whatever, just don't call me Pess. And now everyone's going to call me Pess. Anyway.
I know, you're just going to get that in your Instagram messages and
I
comments.
will call you Tess with a T as in Tom.
Thank you. That's the correct way.
She's a true friend. I was like, gonna call her Pess.
Me too.
Well, I always got Hanna Banana, which I did not think was very fun. Tessonja Lasagna.
Yeah, I mean, now that I'm older, it really helps me like tell someone you can't get it wrong after that. It's Tessonja Lasagna.
No.
But when I was younger, I was just so annoyed. I didn't even like lasagna, and I was just like, don't compare me to that.
You're like, how could you rhyme my name
Of all the
with a
food.
food I don't even like?
Yeah, and now I really like it. So I'm like, yeah, it rhymes, whatever. It's delicious. I make it vegan. What's up?
Say, how do you make your vegan lasagna? Is it like
Most of the time, I make my husband
Cashew
make it.
cheese
So that's how I make it.
that's the real trick.
It works
recipe
really
right
well,
there.
yeah.
my
Anyways,
goodness.
that was the first question. What I write upper YA, so kind of close to new adult, little, older, mature, young adult, closer to new adult, I guess. Did I say that twice? I said that twice. Whatever. Fantasy.
Extra important.
It's extra important because I am kind of in this middle area of what I write, where I don't write. I don't really write adult, but I don't really write young adult. I'm right in the middle, and there is like very specific thing right there, and that's where I live. In the fantasy I write, I specifically like to write romantic fantasy or fantasy romance. That's also another one where there's like, this means one thing and that means one thing. And right now, for the last couple years, I've been writing fae romantic fantasy books. And right now, as in right this minute, this year, I've been writing fairy tale retellings. So,
What? Sorry. Just exciting noise.
Fairy tale retellings are the best. That's why Valia was so excited.
yeah, I love writing them. That is like, it's been my jam. I really
Agreed.
love it. A lot of people think my current series is a trilogy because I've committed to 3 books, but not many people know that I am not committing to only 3 books. I might write more. I just haven't. Yeah,
I didn't know that,
haven't
but I like that.
decided.
That's how I am too.
I haven't decided what the next one's going to be.
Like the fourth
and
one.
as if people who have read my books know, I like to introduce the next character in the current book, and I'm writing the current book, which means I need to figure out if I'm gonna write a next one and who the next star of it's gonna be.
Nice.
I believe you know that you
I probably
should.
will.
I agree with that.
I believe your readers will agree as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
So that's kind of a
yes.
surprise. A lot of people keep asking about the trilogy. I'm like, technically I didn't. It's not gonna be like necessarily a trilogy because they're all standalones.
Right, because you
They're
just said it was
all-
like the Entangled with Faye series.
Yep.
You never said trilogy on the
and-
covers. It's just you've written 2
Yeah,
trilogies.
your other
My
series
other series
are
are trilogies,
trilogies.
so a lot of people assume, but I've been kind of sneaky by like not really saying one thing or another, just because I wanted to see if I would like writing these, and I really like writing them,
That's
and
fair.
I feel like I could just go on forever. They're so much fun, so I'll probably
There's so many fairy
And
tales.
there's so many fun
there's
fairy
so many fun
tales.
fairy tales.
I always get more and more ideas.
There's just so many ways to do them. So, not official at this moment, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna just keep writing them into next year.
But you heard
You
it
have
here
thoughts
first.
on your fourth one?
What'd you say, Hannah? I didn't hear you.
Do you have your list of ones you want to do, or are you just gonna try and like see what your muse?
I
is
have
in the
like
mood for?
probably my next 2 that I'm most interested in. That are like next on the list. I just don't know enough about, like, I have to have an idea at least of the character so that I can write the character. And I try to give myself a lot of room because the fairy tale usually is going to demand me to have some room when I'm actually plotting it. Because I am, when it comes to writing series or whatever, I'm a pantser. I don't plot every single book for a while. I plot one book at a time. Even when I've written series that are continuing, like my Fair Isle trilogy, I had a very loose idea of where that was going to go. So I plot one book at a time, and I'm like, in the next book, something's going to happen.
Well, especially with these being standalone.
Yeah, it makes
sense.
and I think I'm so stuttery today. I'm just so excited to be talking about this, you guys. But I do think I'm finding my groove even more as I'm writing standalones, because I love writing standalones so much, mostly because I'm a romance person and I want to get, so I love the mix between slow burn romance, but like at the end of the book, it's done. Like you get your happy ever after.
Yes.
That's what I like to write, and I'm just learning that as I'm writing this Entangled with Fae series, my fairy tale retellings, that like this is my happy place. I love being able to finish a couple story at the end of the book, but also having it be slow burn romance with like lots of tension and bantery stuff. So
that is what I love too, and I've enjoyed, like, I write standalone fairy tale Fae. They're not the same.
Yeah.
They're not the same at all. Mine are definitely more appropriate for younger audiences, a little less overall stabby. But yeah, I love that reading. Like, sometimes you want to read like a 10-book angsty series. I don't know, not very often.
I rarely
sometimes.
do.
Yeah, it has to be really good. But in general, I love being able to get to the end and feeling like satisfied. You're like, I got my little like dopamine hit of romance. Everyone is happy, but I know this could be another book.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that you can still, the next
so I
book's
love
gonna
that.
have like very similar feels. So like that's what I like about writing, is I'm like, I get to finish a love story in one book, and then I get to start a whole new one that's gonna have all the same awesome things that I love writing about. And I do hope that readers feel that the same way.
And then you can try out different like romantic tropes you like and things like that, because they're not so long.
Yeah. You guys can't see Tess, but she's like jumping in her seat. It's the most adorable thing.
She's like, wiggle.
That's like the best though, writing something that you love so hard, and then like
it is. And it's the best it's the best writing too. Readers love it when you write what you love.
Yeah, they can tell.
Better.
They can tell when you put your heart on the page.
Yeah. And I think you've
absolutely.
definitely done that with these books. They're so good. Obviously we love like fae and fairy tales and fantasy here and romance. So it's like the whole mixture of everything that we love is literally in your books, which is so great. But let's talk about the book that just came out, August 13th. This is the second one in the standalone series.
Yes.
That's the trilogy. So yeah, let's talk about it. It's a Cinderella retelling.
Yep, it's a Cinderella retelling. It's called Heart of the Raven Prince, and yes, it is a standalone. I wrote it with the idea in mind that someone is coming to this book for the very first time, because I really want these to actually be standalones. But both characters appeared in other books of mine. Ember, who is my Cinderella character, she first appeared in Curse of the Wolf King as just a side character, but I gave a little bit of like a mystery so that people reading a little bit, so that people would be like, oh, I wonder what's going on with her, so that she could be in the next one. And Franco actually comes from my previous Fae trilogy that's set in the same world. It's set 20 years prior to this series, and he was a side character who people
that we all love.
Oh my gosh.
I loved Franco.
Everyone fell in love with Franco. And so even as I was reading, I fell in love with him too. I'm like, okay, this character is more than just like a side character. He needs a love story. And as I was finishing up that trilogy, it just never happened for him. Like I had some ideas of people in that series he could end up with, and it just didn't work out. And so as I finished that, I knew I was going to write another book where he was going to get his happily ever after. Because no spoiler I'm going to say, but he doesn't exactly get a romantic happily ever after in the Fair Isle trilogy. It's kind of left open where he's going to go after that. So I really wanted to do that for myself, because I loved writing about him, but also for the readers who like became obsessed with him. So this one has two existing characters, but you can still read this book as if it's like the first time, because I start everything pretty fresh. But there are some Easter eggs for people who do read the other books. They'll see some cameos from other characters, but they don't really like take over the plot or anything. So anyways, that's what that book is. Yeah, I mean, just saying that's like a Cinderella retelling and Fae, I feel like is like basically says the premise
Everything,
of it. But yeah, it does take some unique turns from the original. But yeah, it was really fun and really hard to write. It was probably very hard because I had two characters who already existed, and usually I only had, like, for the first book, I only had one character who existed. He barely existed in the previous trilogy, so it was really easy to...
He just grumped around a bit.
It was easy to kind of, like, build up a lot, but so it was a challenge to take these two characters that I already knew a little about. I had to get to know them so much more for this book, but... I really did enjoy, it was a very satisfying thing to get through it, but as these ladies were witness many times to my nervous breakdowns about how hard this book was to write while I was writing it.
Okay, but question about that. What was your favorite part about this book to write? Like, what was the favorite part about writing it?
I think getting to know, like, the challenge of getting to know Franco a little bit better, because Franco appears to be like this really confident, he's like witty, he's funny, he's charming, like it seems like he's very easy to like, but I knew that he had a deeper story and I really had to dig. So that was not like, that was a challenge, but it was also my favorite part because I really got to get to know him and to show him as a character, and I wrote from his perspective.
Because this was your first, like, one where you did a male POV,
of these
right?
books. My original, my very first series, I had alternating male-female, but those are very different from these books, so not a lot of readers have read that series who are reading this series, because those first books are not fae. They're very different. But, yeah, this is, of all my fae books, this is the first time I introduced a male POV, and it was really fun writing from his perspective, and readers so far have responded to it well, and it's like inspired me more to maybe write from the male perspective, you know, doing some of those alternating chapters as well in future books, just because I do feel like it really helped get a stronger picture of both characters in the romance. So that was really fun.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so this is the part where Hannah and Kay ask you some questions, because I'm not just going to ask you all the questions myself. Yeah. So Hannah, we'll start us off, and then just back and forth, you know, Kay, Hannah, just do your thing, talk. And
I have a lot of questions.
Ooh.
I know Kay always
I have two questions.
It's going to be serious.
I was told one or two, so I followed the
I'm just going to sit here and enjoy, okay?
Two questions.
We may or may not get through all of my questions. Probably not.
Now I feel like I need more questions.
Oh my God.
Just to combat this. Okay. So my first question is, who is your favorite love interest that you've written, and do you think he has any similarities to your husband?
Okay, so it's so hard now because for such a long time while I was writing Heart of the Raven Prince, it was really hard for me to like Franco like a lot just because he was so unfamiliar to me as I was writing him, because
and he's very different from your other guys.
Yeah, he's very different. He's very, very different. So it's kind of my question. I told you guys I'm so bad at answering questions. Like, let me analyze this for about 2 minutes, and then I'll give you a sort of vague answer. So let me just say, before Heart of the Raven Prince, hands down, my favorite male love interest that I wrote was Elliot from Curse of the Wolf King, and he was so much inspired by my husband, so much. And I even talked to him about it and joked with him about it, about how I love to take my husband's like negative characteristics and exaggerate them, like, and it's not like in a point of offense. He like. He totally gets it. He totally related to Elliot. He was like, yeah, no, I get this guy.
So, like, what parts of Elliot are like
being kind of like stubborn, and just he had like a dry humor every once in a while. It's like if my husband was a cartoon character and you had to really funnel down an aspect of him. Like, my husband has a lot of, like, you know, he's not just like this brooding dude who sits by a fireplace all the time. But I took that portion of my husband and for sure put that into Elliot Rochester so much. And I did also benefit based some of his like clothing design on my husband's wedding tuxedo. Or is it a tuxedo or a suit? I don't know the difference, honestly, because I write about much older time periods of clothing. I actually don't know a lot about modern clothes. I think it was technically a suit, but his suit was very, very dark green that was almost black. And so I think we had gotten engaged and maybe already married when I was writing Curse of the Wolf King, or had just, I don't know. Time is weird. Time doesn't exist. And so I did end up basing, when I was designing Elliot's clothes, which is like one of my favorite things to do, is talk about clothes and design clothes in my head for my books. His suit that he wears a couple times is like in my head based on my husband's suit. His hair kind of looks like my husband. My husband really likes Elliot because he can tell how much Elliot is based off of him. And
I love it.
Yeah, and so I think that is a reason why Elliot's probably always going to have a very special place in my heart, just because of how much I have of my husband there. But Franco, being able to write from Franco's perspective is kind of making him like fight. He's like, no, like you wrote from my perspective. I should become your favorite. But I don't know. We'll see. I'll let him and Elliot battle for a while.
So Franco thinks that he's the favorite.
Oh, Franco definitely thinks
but
he's
actually
the favorite.
Elliot.
Yeah,
is
that's
the
probably
favorite.
how it is.
That would very much make sense for them.
Yeah,
so there you go.
that makes perfect sense.
That was such a good question. Now I'm like, I don't know.
That was my
man.
best
Now
question.
my
I only
list
have
is not- Okay, so this one's just kind of a different question, a little bit from the typical author questions. So I thought it would be a fun one. What is a typical day like for you if you're writing? Okay, so let's say a writing day, but just kind of take us through your whole day.
Oh, great. Are you ready for
Tell
this?
us about your entire life.
I'm so habitual, so it's like, let me walk you through my step-by-step process. So,
I love it.
because I really do. I have to get up. I feed the pets. I take all the blankets off the furniture because there's a cat that I'm protecting the furniture from. Wait, am I protecting I'm protecting the furniture from the
furniture.
cat.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, I said it right.
I have cookie sheets on my couch that I just
okay.
take off every morning.
Yeah,
and
so
keep
you
my
get
cat
it.
off my couch. Yeah.
So at my
It's
morning,
totally normal.
So you understand. So that's like my morning chores is taking all the blankets off the couch and making my tea and eating my breakfast bar. Those are like very ritualistic, as much as they sound super boring. But as soon as I'm done with all that, if it's a writing day, I like to write as soon as possible. Like, I try not to check my email. I try not to look on social media. I try not to let my brain do anything else but those habitual routine things, because then it won't go off into frolicking around, doing crazy stuff. Because I don't do well writing when I am like distracted, or if like the concerns of the day. I'm really good at morning writer, basically. Like, I write really well first thing in the morning. I can get up really early and write. Most of the time I don't get up that early. I kind of just sleep. But I can get up really early and start writing. And yeah, I just try to start writing, and I'll usually write for like a few hours, maybe till like noonish, and that's when I check in with my energy. I am not the type of writer, and I admire these writers so much, but there's writers who are like, I write from this time to this time, this many days a week, and I always do it, and it's great, and I'm like, that is so cool. But I'm like a pretty sensitive person, and I'm pretty sensitive to my own energy and other people's energy, and I just perform better when I honor that. And so if it gets to like noonish and I'm mentally feeling spent, I will usually stop, and that's when I'll start checking my email and do all the other stuff that my brain doesn't really need a lot of power to do. I can do I can start packing Etsy orders, and I can, go on social media. But if I'm like still feeling it and I'm still in the zone, then I'll usually force myself to eat lunch, because that's super hard to eat. It's really hard to make myself eat in the middle of the day when I'm like in the zone. And then I'll write a little bit longer. So it's so funny that like the very beginning of my day is super structured. And in terms of like the most boring stuff. It's not like I exercise or do like those cool things, but then like the rest of my day, I'm like, that's when it's willy-nilly. Who knows? The day could bring anything. But I have like writing word count goals, which I also keep vague, because that's another thing that I've learned about myself, is that I'm like, I'm gonna write today starting this time, but after that, oh, who knows what it's gonna be. But I'll have some goals to keep myself motivated, and so that I can, you know, try, because I'm this weird, I'm like a free spirit who likes rules, so I have to honor both sides of myself. It's can be complicated.
So when do you watch all your TV shows? You didn't even say watching.
That's because that's during the willy-nilly part of the day. That's the second part of the day.
Oh, okay.
Usually after dinner is when we watch shows, and if it is, and on my days off too. Like I do specifically take days off writing, and those are the days when I'll just do admin work maybe. And then I'll just spend hours watching TV all day, because I like to have my own shows, my like girl time shows that like my husband's not interested in, and those are usually the ones that I watch on like my time off. But then we'll have our couple shows, and that's when we watch after dinner, and then we have family shows, which we watch when my daughter is home, because she spends half her time at her dad's house and half her time at our house. So that's also in the willy-nilly category of what day is it today. That depends on what show we're gonna watch. You guys want to know what show I'm watching right now?
Yes, of course.
So I just started Peaky Blinders.
Well, I've heard good things about that one.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, it has. I always look at it, I'm like, that's totally like a dude show, isn't it? But it's also a period piece, but it is like a crime. It's like Six of Crows, but like serious. Not like, there's like no hijinks, but there is that like intriguing, like, are they going to get caught? Oh, someone's double crossing. And the period that it's set in is like really pretty visually. Just, I mean, not when they're doing like the beating up and the walking through like the like dirty streets, but like when they're wearing the girls are wearing the dresses. I also really like Anya Taylor-Joy, and I've heard she's in the show. So I like when I saw she was in the show, I was like, you know what? Now I think I'm gonna try and watch it. She wasn't in season 1, but I'm like maybe she'll be in season 2. But yeah, we finished season. I started watching it by myself, so I was like, I feel like this is a show me and my husband would watch together, but he was not into it. I watched 2 episodes alone, and then he like started watching it with me. I'm like, okay, so now we'll watch it together.
You lured him in.
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, I knew this would be something that he would like. But that's what I'm watching right now. I feel like I watched something else that was really cool recently, but I forgot. I don't remember what it was.
It was good though.
It was good.
I think
probably,
we can all just agree.
I watch good
it had
things
to be
sometimes.
Hannah.
It's my turn again?
Yeah.
Okay, I was trying to decide which of my 2 almost the same questions to ask. So I'm going to combine them. We'll see if it works. I want to know what your favorite fairy tale is, and I was going to ask what your favorite Disney movie is, but I don't know if it'll be a fairy tale. And I don't know if your favorite fairy tale is a Disney movie. So make that.
Okay, we have enough questions.
We'll start with
I also need some sleep.
Yeah, we'll do the favorite fairy tale one first.
Favorite fairy tale.
There you go.
And then you'll see if because
And I'm curious if you're planning to write it.
Well, okay, here's my complicated answer, because they usually are. If it
To
comes
my
from me.
really weird question. Please go.
So, my favorite fairy tale. Actually, this is weird. No, I don't think that's my answer. Okay, so my favorite fairy tale when it comes to watching it visually. So like, okay, you know what? Have I ever seen a show? No. Movie. Let's narrow it down to movie. It's only been movie, and that is Cinderella. I am obsessed with like if there's a movie version of Cinderella, I will watch it. And I have like even the like random Hallmark, or they're not even Hallmark, but like they're Hallmark-esque Christmas ones. Like there was a couple last year on Netflix that me and my daughter watched, and it was a Cinderella retelling, and they're like really good. I will watch all of them, and I love them, and like they're just so good. And then I was
Did you see there's a new show coming out on Amazon Prime this fall?
Yeah, is it the
I thought it was a movie.
The Cinderella?
I thought it was a show.
Wait. Oh.
Maybe it's a movie.
Oh, yeah, I don't actually know for sure. Is it
But the fashion design one, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think I played my daughter the trailer. I can't remember because I was like waiting to watch it with her. But that one does look really good, and I'm super excited. Like another Cinderella I can watch. But
Do you guys know what it's called? I've never heard
I
of
think
it.
it's called Cinderella.
Cinderella. I think it has Camila. What is it? Camila Cabello.
Yeah.
Cabello. It looks really good, and it's a musical, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which like we haven't had a musical Cinderella like ever
Since the 1950s.
Yeah.
Well, even the
Oh, yeah.
Disney one, like it has a bit, but it's not like full out musical like some of them are.
Yeah.
She more just like sings a little bit while she works and.
Oh, the one
There's
with
some
Lily
birds.
James? Is that the one?
No,
you're-
I meant like
No,
the
the
original.
original.
Disney.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
a
true.
dream is a wish, your heart
Yeah.
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 She sings that one.
No, this one definitely looks more like a Broadway musical. 'Cause,
Yeah,
That's what
like,
makes
it
me
has,
so
like-
excited about it.
Mhm, yeah.
I am also excited.
So that's my favorite fairy tale in terms of like watching it as a movie. But in terms of the story, it's Beauty and the Beast. And it's just because of that, like, enemies to lovers type thing. I'm not going with the Stockholm Syndrome. I like it when it's a little bit different and it's a little more enemies to
Preach.
lovers. That's what I'm going
Yeah.
with. Like, and not even necessarily like the original is being my favorite, but I just love the world of Beauty and the Beast and all the things
There's
that
like
you
an
can do with
aesthetic
it.
to it,
There
eh?
is.
Like
It's like it's hard to explain.
Roses
It's
and
like
the gold and
Yeah,
the
It's
stuff.
cozy.
yeah,
And
like I can't
pretty.
even pinpoint what version is
roses,
my
yeah.
favorite because I don't even know if I have one. I just love just what Beauty and the Beast is and everything you can do with it. Like,
Did
it's
you watch
so
the
good.
French Beauty and the Beast? It came out like just before the Disney live action one.
No,
It was a French one.
I did not.
It is gorgeous. It's a little Stockholmy. It's so pretty. Like her dresses and the cinematography, and you just bask in the prettiness of it. You should go watch it.
Okay, I'll have to add that. Add that
Right
to my.
on
I'll
my
have to
list,
go
too.
find that.
I love
So good.
I actually don't know if it's what version it is, but we had this little like storytell book when I was a kid of Beauty and the Beast, and that I think is still my favorite version. It was super close to the original tale. I just love how she asks for a rose. Like the father's like, I can bring you back anything, and she's like, I just want a rose. and then because she gets a rose, it like causes all these problems. Which
She's
is
like,
hilarious.
I'm just gonna do something that's not too much
Yeah.
trouble for you.
And then it ends up being the most trouble of everything. Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, maybe that also answers which is your favorite Disney if it's always Cinderella.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because the other part of the question was my favorite Disney movie, right?
Disney.
I'm just like messing up things now. I could have asked this later, but you
That's
said every version of
fine.
Cinderella is your favorite.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, does that mean that the original Cinderella is your favorite animated? We'll
No,
go to animated Disney.
I don't really like the animated Cinderella. So of all the things, that's
Is there like not enough romance?
yeah, no, there's not enough romance. I do not like that one's of all the Cinderellas, the animated Disney one is at like the very bottom. I like it. It always will hold a place in my heart though because I did love it growing up. But now that I'm older, I just don't really love it that much. There's just so many other ones that my heart has wrapped around, like Ever After. Ever After
So good.
is
That's- yeah.
that could be
I
my
watched
favorite
it with
Disney
my
movie.
11-year-old for the first time last week. She has decided that she like is into a little bit of romance now.
Ooh, nice.
And I was like, oh, I'm so
You
excited.
can watch things
I'm like,
together.
we're gonna watch this one. I watched Stardust with her too.
Stardust is so good.
Nice.
Love it.
good.
Love
so
it.
good. But yeah, we watched Ever After. I'm like, this one's Cinderella, and it's not really magic, but it's really cute, and it's got a bit of romance, and she loved it. And I was like, it is the best. They're so adorable in that movie.
Yeah,
I
and
love
that
that
one,
movie.
it does such a good job with the romance because it's not just like a
Yes.
prince that she met who's like, I saw you across the room and I fell in love
Yep.
with you, girl. Let's dance.
danced once.
Let's dance, but I'm not going to learn your name. I'm not going to learn a thing about you, but I'm going to chase you across the freaking kingdom to
Because
find
no one
you.
else has your shoe size.
Yeah, because you have some weird like magic toes. But yeah, the Ever After one does. Oh, that one like it was like the first movie where I just was so in the feels that I loved the torture that I felt at like the end where it feels the all is lost moment basically, where like he rejects her, and it just like crushed my soul. I remember being so just crushed emotionally in the theaters when I watched it. And so every time I'd watch it again, I would just like, this is the part where I'm going to feel so depressed. And I loved it so much. Like, I just loved that.
It doesn't last long. A little like short depression is good.
Yeah. And then like the part at the end where he like comes back to her and he's like, oh, I came to save you. She's like, I saved myself. And
I love that.
Like, it was, that one's so good. It's probably in my like top 5 movies, just like movies overall.
And Da Vinci as her fairy godmother.
Yeah, that is so good.
I've always been a huge like Da Vinci nerd.
Yeah,
so like,
that one is magic. I don't know if anything can replace that. That one is just so good.
So good.
You still didn't say what your favorite Disney
what's your
fairy tale is.
Well, my favorite
Like animated Disney.
animated is
Animated.
hard. Let's see. Animated. You guys, this is something about
This
me.
is an important question, okay? You
We can't
just shrug
move
it off.
on.
Well,
Okay,
I have to
until
tell you
you
guys something
answer.
about like another thing about my childhood, because apparently that's the theme today. I always was like the biggest critic of animated movies when I was little.
That's terrible.
Yeah, I was so
hilarious.
annoyed.
I'm so sad for little
like the
Tessonja.
funniest
I mean, I
thing
think it
I've
took a
ever
while
heard.
because I do remember really liking The Little Mermaid the first few years it was out. But at a certain point, I was just like just
too
so
cool?
critical. No, I was a very analytical child. I'm a very analytical person. And I remember there was a certain point where I was just like, yeah, no, that's not, you can't do that. That's not okay. And I remember watching Aladdin and I really loved it. But then I was like, you know, you're marrying a like a blah blah. I'm like, your kingdom's probably going to go to war now because you know you're not in a very strong position if you're just marrying random
You're not
guys.
fulfilling your political responsibility.
Yeah, like things
by
like that,
marrying
I would get frustrated with, and like if there were any kind of plot holes, I would get really frustrated. So there, I don't have a lot of memories where I was like, that was a really great animated fairy tale that I didn't just sit there and be like, I'm very worried about how this is going to turn out for them. Like Sleeping Beauty, I was super, super worried about them. It's like, you guys just met and oh man.
At least they met.
They
ahead of
did
time.
meet, but then they were making
And
bad
danced
decisions.
once, so.
And he was like, I'm going to call off my engagement to the other person. I don't know. There's really good things there that I'm just very excited to see done better in like books and
This
retellings.
is why you write retellings too,
I think
right?
this is where like my becoming a writer was
I know,
born.
you're coming. Well, I don't know if I should say what your next book is.
Oh, you can. People are like
'cause you're
already
writing.
figuring it
It's
out.
like Little Mermaid, but she's a Selkie.
Yeah.
And like it's on my radar. Like I've thought a bit about how I would write it. It's not in my like original trilogy. I might write more than. But yeah, whenever I watch the movie, I'm like kind of on King Triton's side now.
Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
weird
I'm
to
like, dude, you should keep
Like,
her at home.
I'm
Like,
sorry,
I,
you want to
saw
just
her
change
unconscious.
everything about yourself for a man? And
I'm just
She's
gonna
probably
leave
legit.
now
I'll be
because you guys are
fine.
ruining my movie for me.
Oh, well, how old is she though? 15?
Yeah, she's like
16?
16
Whatever,
or
they're
something.
all-
Even?
Okay, but they're all like
They are
15
all
and
way too
16.
young to
Okay,
be
come
doing
on
this
now.
crazy stuff. They are
Bad choices.
way too young. I also really liked. This is just another random thing I told my husband. He was like, "I guess that makes sense for you." I also really liked the brunette humanoid version of Ursula when she comes to like steal Eric.
Me too.
Oh,
There was
yeah.
not enough, maybe brunette.
Yeah, I
Rose
really
or
wanted her
something?
more. I was like, she's cool. I like her. And I was like, when she's like doing her dancing thing and she's all fierce and she's like, I'm gonna steal him and I'm gonna have him. I was like, yeah, I'm on her side. Like, let's have more of this. Like, I want more of this like fierce,
Evil
hot,
Ursula
like
team.
brunette lady. So yeah, that movie like. I was like, I'm kind of team Ursula too, so I don't know.
Well, I'm Team Triton, you're Team Ursula.
Yeah.
We'll make our own versions and fix all these
Valia's-
stupid things.
Valia's very upset that we're ruining
I'm just
her
gonna
favorite movie.
Yeah, we're just not talking about this. I have very different views on this. Like it's so funny to me, but anyway.
Maybe we need like a whole episode where we talk about Disney animated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So still,
All right.
I don't know if I can answer that because I'm like trying to find one
Is
that
there like
I like
one of the more recent
love.
ones? Like it doesn't have to be when you were little. Like
Hmm.
Frozen
Just
2's
choose
pretty
one.
good. I don't know.
Just
pick
say
one.
this one.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Okay, we're moving
Yeah,
on.
you guys gotta move on. This is too hard. I told you. I warned you. This was.
We'll never know.
No,
We'll never
I might
know.
never know. I'm gonna think about it for like 10 years.
All right. Okay.
On a
so
future
I have,
episode.
Yeah.
I have like a funny question.
Oh, I like
funny,
those.
And then also like an author question. Which one do you want?
Do funny.
Okay. Very important question. What kind of secret society would you like to start?
Ooh, a secret society. Oh.
I can see Tessonja started one. This seems legit.
A K-drama secret
Yeah,
society.
K-drama secret society would be really cool. Gosh, like Kombucha Lovers Anonymous would be really fun.
Oh yeah, I'm going for that one.
Yeah, I don't know. There could be so many. Just a broody love interest secret society, but ones that aren't abusive. So very specific category.
I mean, I feel like that one wouldn't have to be secret / already exists in a lot of places.
That's true. But I would be very specific about membership. I'd be like, this is not for these type of broody heroes or these type of broody
refer you to
heroes.
therapy.
Yeah, it's just these ones because those are my favorites. And it's my society, so my rules.
Exactly.
I love it.
You'll drink kombucha.
Yep. Yeah. And bonus points if they're K-drama love interests.
Fans.
Yeah.
All right.
So the secret society has to be all three. You have to
That
have
would be
all
cool.
three
I could do that. Yeah.
in order to get into
K-dramas, and I want to make it a
and it'll be called
curmudgeon.
Pest.
No, you're so rude. Oh no, you just brought it back.
Oh, that was great. Your face, you were like so genuinely upset about that.
I'm done. I'm done.
No.
Oh, you guys.
Okay, I'll do an author question now too.
Okay.
So, you've talked about your favorite book a couple times on the podcast before. So if you listeners haven't heard those, you'll have to go back and listen to all of our episodes. 'Cause I don't know
Until you
which
find
they are.
I think it's on episode 1, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah, there is one on episode 1, but I think there's another time she talks about it too. Anyway, but who is your favorite author?
It's probably still the same person, which is Patricia McKillop. But I think it's kind of hard because she's not like in the spotlight. So it's like she's my favorite author in terms of her writing, but like my favorite author in terms of someone that I like to follow and see what they do and see what they say and stalk them is Brandon Sanderson. He's a little more accessible because he has like a public presence and he's doing stuff like very common or currently, and yeah, so he's probably my other favorite author.
He's like your celebrity author.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
That's good.
Nice.
I did actually have a question about writing
Ooh, okay.
that we're going to jump. I'm just going to insert right here.
Okay.
Perfect
So,
spot.
yeah. So we talked about, because you just talked about your secret society that you would have like a specific love interest situation as like a membership requirement. But you talked about loving writing slow burn romance.
Yes.
Right. And like also talked about the time period that you write. So I just want you to talk about that. Like, what do you love most about like the slow burn romance and also like the time period and the setting? Like, why did you choose that? So it's a two-parter.
Yeah.
Go
So
for it.
those the answers are so like intermingled because I love the time period that both my Fae series are set in is a fantasy Victorian / Edwardian. Plus, I take liberties with certain technologies sometimes when I feel like it, especially in terms of like wartime vehicles. I might have jumped into like the 40s for that. But anyways, that's the era that I write in. Is more Victorian and Edwardian inspired, and I love that era when it comes to romance because I love the like nuances of finding love and learning how to like express and like explore new love in a society where it's very restrained and restricted. Like you can't just go and like hold hands with this guy you just met, and you can't just go up to someone and be like, hey girl, can I have your number? Like, let's go on an adventure. You have to first wait until she has to acknowledge you, and if she doesn't acknowledge you, you can't talk to her. Like there's so many of these rules for society of even getting to say your first word to that person. And there are expectations. Like, you can't just like make out with this person that you're feeling the hots for, unless you like go to a very secluded area. But if you get caught, your reputation's at stake. Like, I just love those things because they create tension. They create so much tension and angst, and I love tension and angst. I love it so much. Like, that's like the best part of reading and writing romance to me, is that tension, the things that happen before the kissing happens, the things that happen when you first touch hands, all those angsty things. And that's also what I love about slow burn, is that slow burn, like, it exists in this slow build of the tension, of the things in between. Like, yeah, I like a little bit of steam when it gets to my romance scenes, like both as a reader and a writer, but like, that's not what I come to books for. When I'm a reader, I come to it for the stuff, everything that leads up to that moment, because it's just, I don't know, I just love it so much. I love that tension. I love the reward, because in slow burn, you have to wait for it, and everything is incremental, especially in those more like restrained time periods. First you have the hands touch, and there's probably gloves involved, and then there's gonna be, there's longing glances before that, and you're just like, I can feel the heat of his stare or whatever, and there's like admiring people from afar, and that, like, it's just, I love it so much, you guys, so much. So yeah, those are kind of intermingled. It's because I just love that. I love how it just feels so much more rewarding when you really have to work for it slowly, and then you get the big payoff. And then I do like when it pays off with a little bit of steam, a little bit of spice. So
I love that. You guys, if you can't tell, like, Tess is so passionate about her books. It's just like, I love it so much.
Silence.
Okay.
Oh, do I get to do another question?
Sorry,
Okay.
I just had to jump in, okay?
Oh, that was perfect. That was a great time. Well, I didn't know. I thought we were going to... Okay, hold on. Let me look at my list here that I have. List. Yes.
Her list.
Okay. I would like to know about your creation process more. So, you say you're a pantser, but and I guess it's not really so much the creation process, but just what kind of things are you thinking about as you're writing? I know that, like, the characters, you do a lot of character work, and I don't know, I just think readers would love to know more about that.
Yeah, so
listeners.
So in terms of, so I'm only a pantser in terms of series. In terms of one book, I am a plotter, but I'm also a very loose plotter. So I'm like in between there. Like, I'm pretty heavy at plotting like the first like half or maybe the first third of my book, and that's kind of because I get into like, I do a lot of like character work. So I really just like to find, like, the important things to me is I like to figure out what my characters' like flaws are, like what makes them totally normal and what makes them. I also kind of like people who are a little more on the flawed side. Like, I just like writing characters like that because I really like to see things blow up in their faces a little bit in terms of their flaws, and I like to see them heal and grow from that. So I like to dive into that first because that's like super fun and interesting to me. I also like to dive into what makes this character unique and what makes this character like passionate. I really like each of my characters, and I know Hanna does this too. I think we've talked about this before. To have a hobby or an interest, something that makes them who they are. And I like it, especially if it influences like their language. For example, like in Curse of the Wolf King, Gemma has a history as like basically an accountant. Like, she's really good with numbers. And so when she talks about things, she'll talk about assets and liabilities and adding things up. She has very like calculated language when she's talking about like anything really, like, so that's like reflected. And then Ember in Heart of the Raven Prince, she's a pianist and she's also a singer, and so a lot of she'll talk about musical language, and she expresses things that way. So I also like to find little flavors of that can influence a character's personality. And it just connects me to the reader because I, as a person who also has hobbies, and I've seen how they can like influence someone's life. Those are like my two favorite things when it comes to doing work before it actually comes to writing a character, is like figuring those things out about them. And they're kind of random. It's like a little bit, it's a little different than like what we, like the thing, like, oh, what color hair do they have? I'm like, yeah, that's boring. I mean, I do that stuff too, but I'm like, I'm going to really go in and
Says
look
the
at
author with a blue-haired character.
Yeah, I mean, I figure that stuff out, but I also just, it's like, it doesn't take a lot of my passion. But when it comes to like my passion, I'm like, I'm going to figure out their flaws and I'm going to figure out their hobbies.
That's cool. That's cool. That's interesting. It goes to those two. All right, let's end with a fun question. Is it okay if I say we're ending now?
Yes, yeah, that's
I just
perfect.
decided, apparently.
No, I was just going to say, I was like, we're going to have one more, so that's perfect.
Okay, pick one of your favorite characters. What would they sing at karaoke night? It can be not necessarily a song that they would have in their world. It can be a song from our world.
Is this a character of my own books?
Yes, one of yours.
Oh my gosh, that's such a hard question. Why would you do this to me?
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, you say it's fun, but that's like...
Funny.
Yeah, you're asking the person who
funny
needs...
to watch Tessonja try.
Yeah,
and
the
answer.
person who still doesn't know her favorite animated Disney movie. Let's see. I think Franco would probably just sing like that. What's that really annoying song from like the 90s? Like, I'm too sexy for like.
That's what I
yeah,
was
because Franco has this thing where he like
Justin Timberlake.
is like,
wait, maybe
No,
it's not Justin.
I'm too sexy for my cat.
yeah, what is that? It's
Poor
like really
pussycat.
old. It's like so annoying. I can't
Yeah,
even
you're
handle
right,
hearing
it's
this
not.
song. But like he would do it because he loves to do things out of irony. He loves to make people laugh. He will do something that's a little annoying because he will do that because he also likes to annoy people. But he also has a habit of not like, you know, in the Victorian/Edwardian time period, they have ties, they have their shirts all buttoned up, and he wears his like open, and it's like a running joke in Heart of the Raven Prince that he never wears a proper shirt. And so I think I'm too sexy for my shirt, whatever that song's actually called, like he would totally sing it on karaoke, and he'd probably do like a mini striptease and probably make everybody uncomfortable / secretly charmed.
See, that was such a good answer. And I'm so glad that I asked it, even though Hannah said it was a bad question.
I did not say it was a bad.
Oh.
I just said you were trying to make Tessonja squirm.
I mean, I'm glad I came up with a good answer. 'Cause
I will own that.
I do like the answer, but I almost did have a panic attack before
I feel like now you need to draw a picture of Franco
at karaoke,
like
spinning his
like
shirt
big
around over his
boobs.
head.
And everybody in the audience being very uncomfortable.
Just like a really prim and proper Victorian audience, just being like, my.
And his sister just being like, oh my
Yeah.
why did we bring you out in public?
Oh my gosh. You guys are a
I can
riot.
see it.
I love it. I love it. That was a perfect question to end on. Thank you, Kay, for that. That was great. But yes, you guys, this was fun. Also, please follow Tess on her Instagram at Tessonja. And
Spell it for everyone.
T as in Tom, E as in elephant, 2 S's as in salad, O as in orange, N as in Nancy, J as in juice, and A. I almost forgot to spell my name. A as in apple.
I just love the things that you like justify,
Yes.
like S and salad
So
and
funny.
chicken.
I don't remember what the like actual, because you know there's like the actual ones that you do. I don't know what they are.
Yes, they're not juice.
It's not
They're not
juice.
juice. They're but see, they're also different depending on the military or the
Yeah,
like,
that's probably
department
true.
you're in. So anyway,
I can see that.
But
Oh,
I will link. Yeah, I will link everything below. I'll also link her Instagram and website and maybe Amazon page so you guys can find her books. Oh, and she has a Etsy store that sells her signed books. So if you guys are into signed books, you can get them from her directly. It's the best. So I'll link all of that in description, and it's on our Instagram at Reading Queen Spot as well. So yeah. Thank you for being here.
That's
for
so
this.
weird to be like, it's so weird. I'm like, I'm a guest.
You are. Yeah, no, I'm glad we got to do this, and it was really fun. But yeah, you guys don't forget, we have a regular episode coming on Wednesday. You definitely don't want to miss out. And then give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. I can't talk. Before you go. And then you can be notified when we launch a new episode, and we'll be doing more of these interviews as well and other stuff that you have to look forward to. So yeah, that is all for me, for us. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.